Welcome back.
Yeah, we are back. And before we went on that break, I said we're going to be talking about the issues that you raised: transparency, accountability, and discipline. Let me start from the rear: discipline. The accusations and a lot of it against the SARS, Special Anti-Robbery Squad. Yes, we know we have issues with armed robbery, but the people are also worried about how these security operatives, I'm talking about SARS now, go about their operations. What's your take on, all of those agitations? And indeed, for those that are saying we should reform SARS, is it to reform SARS or is it to end SARS?
Well, let me answer your last question, reform SARS or end SARS. See, once upon a time, Greece scrapped the entire police force. It didn't take them off the world map. They're still there and they're existing. Now let's come back home. If you really want to do a profile of the IG, his AIGs, his DIGs, down to the compols, don't go to is it Etim Edet now or Louis Edet house in Abuja and take your sample. Take your sample off the street, and what you see there is a microcosm of the whole. Scientifically, it's proven a part cannot be different from the whole. I can tell you from profiling that when you see that policeman doing the things he's doing, what he's doing is underscored by the career environmental stimuli he receives. He's trying to survive. And I'm telling you, there is no way your boss will be transparent and you won't be transparent. I'm talking from experience. I was fortunately unfortunate, if I can put it that way, to have been a cadet when a certain General Salih Ibrahim was commandant. And everybody just had to toe his line or you were out. So what I'm saying is, when you look at a child and the child is a super brat, it's a mirror representation of the values of his parents, period. We can attach any other sentimental what. No, the child is just responding to what you can call domestic stimuli. So when you come to SARS, I would have loved to see a situation where rather than reform SARS, that's a bit premature. I would have seen if I had my way, I would have just got enough reams of paper and just made 10 questions and probably used an aircraft to spread them all over Nigeria so they can fall on the streets. Hey, everybody just pick and fill out these 10 questions. Let's do a Vox on SARS. And the results of the Vox will decide whether they go or stay, because if SARS was a product and the consumer says it is bad, and you're telling the consumer, okay, we are going to change the can, what have you done? What exactly have you done? So for me, SARS itself has actually built a reputation amongst the people it's meant to serve. Now they're getting feedback. So what do? Let's go to, I mean, police should exploit the leverage of social media. On a scale of 10, or answer these 10 questions and on each one score on a scale of 5, then we get a national average. And then we begin to get exactly where the problem is, engage it. It's again, as I told you, about numbers. You see, there is magic in numbers. It works for me. It works for me.
Captain Aliyu, this stimuli that the operative, now he's operative because it applies, stretching it across beyond SARS to other agencies. Now, this stimuli that they get, is it just about the words they hear or the things they say? Because I do know that, I mean, I went to a military school, and one of the things we were told was obey
the last order.
The last order. And you must, no matter what happens, no matter what you're going through, that order, if they say stand still, you will stand still. I do know someone.
That was then.
That was then. It doesn't apply anymore.
Thank you, sir. I was waiting for him to land.
Okay. So, because I do know of a colleague, a colleague in school who dropped. He was bitten by an insect and he fainted. But because they had said stand, he stood there until that happened. So the question is it just about the commands given or the behavior of the superiors that affects that man?
Okay. There is actually what I want to call a psychological aspect to law enforcement. There is also a moral aspect to law enforcement. Then there's also a regimental aspect. Now, all these marry up into that being you call a policeman or a soldier. Now, human beings are creatures of habit. We are also social in nature. Social in nature means we interact and copy things from each other. Creatures of habit simply means what we do repeatedly becomes part of us. Now, if you took one policeman, put him on this table as a specimen, and we decided to dissect him on these levels I have told you, you find out that he's virtually base. What is the content of training that goes into him, for example? What is the content of welfare that goes into him? What is the content of or quality of exemplary conduct he has to replicate from? What do his neurons replicate? What does he see when he looks at his leaders? When you profile a policeman, you're looking at a mirror. Now, I'm not talking about senior officers and all. No. I'm talking about that lone man with so much power in his hands in the form of a gun, standing on the road. When you profile him psychologically, mentally, physically, intellectually, academically, you're going to be wowed. It's so, do I call it, daunting indeed. There isn't much there. So how do you expect much from somebody who is just struggling to survive?
Colonel Dari.
Yes, please.
Daunting or dark picture of our operatives and agencies. How do we come out of this?
Well, I've told you, it has a lot of implication on our nation because, the image and then the perception, the perception of our nation in terms of, crime and other parameters in which we have been measured. Here, it has to take a lot of funding, a lot of psychological discipline and morality, just like the captain mentioned. So, education is a very, very fundamental part of our being. Because you just have to, you cannot put something on nothing. You cannot give what you do not have. Recently, I think we are all witness to what happened among two agencies, I mean, it was very, very embarrassing when they openly confronted each other. That shouldn't be at all. That shouldn't be. I expect that heads should roll. But as we speak, I don't think anything has come out of it. And honestly, I would like to urge the federal government to really, really investigate and let people pay for this. There is gross indiscipline and impunity across the board, even in the military. Especially in the military, I know it's a work in progress. But the bad eggs must be fished out if we have to make progress.